You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Mission Log, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, episode 549, Warhead.
Welcome into another episode of Mission Log, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. I'm John Champion.
And I'm Benjamin R. Harrison, sitting in for Norman Lau. Each week on Mission Log, we do exactly what we're programmed to do. Examine an episode of Star Trek, pick it apart for the morals, meanings, and messages, and ask ourselves if it stands the test of time.
This week, Warhead, the one where the Doctor learns to stop worrying and love the bomb until he becomes the bomb, and then everyone better start worrying. Welcome to the show, Ben. I'm so glad that you're here.
They set us up the bomb this time.
Ben, for folks who do not know you, please let them know who you are and where you are from.
Oh, sure. I'm here in Southern California, in Los Angeles. My credential that got me onto this show is that I co-host a Star Trek podcast called The Greatest Generation and another one called Greatest Trek. Greatest Generation basically has the same format as this, except for we're idiots, and Greatest Trek has the same format, but for all the new shows. So,
well, look, when we're being generous as the professional podcasters that we are, speaking of you and me, we always say that there is room for every type of Star Trek podcast under the sun. I really love what you and Adam do, doing a comedy show. I had the pleasure of coming to one of your live shows. Absolutely loved it. So I'm thrilled that we got to have Adam on. Now we get to have you on. Yeah,
we got to have you back. We're doing one about the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode "Conspiracy" in L.A. in a few weeks, and I'm getting pretty excited about it. I don't know if you have time for this, but Adam and I bought the mold that they made the parasite from Conspiracy with. Yes. And we have produced a very limited run of 100 castings of this mold. And so we're doing this live show to talk about Conspiracy, and we've been doing a couple of shows this year where we're going back and revisiting some of the stranger episodes of TNG. And it's all sort of culminating in this LA show where we're going to talk about Conspiracy and these parasites that haunted my dreams when I was a child. And I'm really excited about it because I haven't actually held one of the finished models in my hands, but Adam has, and they're beautiful from what he tells me. And it's probably the first time it's been used to mold anything since they made that episode. So. We made an archival plaster cast of it was just kind of silicone rubber. So this prop house in Atlanta was like, hey, you guys should do something to preserve that for the sake of Star Trek history. Because, obviously Conspiracy is the most important episode of Star Trek.
It truly is. Yeah. It launched all the follow-up episodes that they originally planned around that. Yeah. By the way, going back to the very beginning of Mission Log doing TNG Season 1, well before we got to that episode, somebody wrote in and said, every time you say Remick head debris on the show, I will donate $100 to the Roddenberry Foundation. So somebody owes us $100.
Wow. Was the phrase Remick head debris?
Yeah, it was. That is the phrase that pays. Remick head debris. So if anybody is listening, you know what to do. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you and your show?
I was thinking about how to answer this question. I feel like your audience will appreciate that our website is gach.biz. If you're getting anxious just thinking about trying to spell Gach, you can also go to linktree.com/greatesttrek. Should get you, our shows and our live shows and everything like that.
There we go. Terrific. Well, since you just got your plug, now your punishment is you have to plug us. So if you would tell our audience where they can reach us, I would appreciate it.
Mission Log is a conversation about Star Trek. Find the show at Mission Log at Roddenberry.com and on X and Facebook at Mission Log Pod. While you're at it, A review and rating at Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform makes a big difference to the podcasts you love. Always remember, your comments could be used on Mission Log. The Roddenberry Industrial Complex will not be denied.
Well, without further ado, I'm going to jump right into trivia for this week's episode, Warhead. We have a story by Brandon Braga, and you might be able to connect a lot of the dots here for an episode that premiered in 1999. We are less than a decade out from the collapse of the Soviet Union and from the first Gulf War. Brannon said that he saw a news story about missing Russian nuclear warheads that posed a potential threat. You may also recall that Operation Desert Storm was the first use of so-called smart bombs, name-checked, in this episode. Now, the teleplay is credited to Michael Taylor and Kenneth Biller, and no surprise here, both longtime Voyager writer-producers. Michael, of course, came over from DS9 with a handful of landmark episodes under his belt, and most recently, we discuss his contributions to the Voyager episode Relativity. Paired up with Ken Biller here, and Ken's previous script collaboration on Voyager was on Juggernaut, and that was with Brian Fuller and Nick Sagan. Now, today's episode is directed by John Kretschmer, and we are at the end of John's short list of credits in the Trek franchise. He started out on DS9 with 2 episodes, A Simple Investigation and Covenant, and then one other Voyager episode that he directed, that was Once Upon a Time. Now, John has a long list of sci-fi credits to his name, Sequest, Buffy, Sliders, so many more. And let us move on and meet our guest stars. Well, welcome to a new member of Voyager's crew on the night shift. It's Ensign Jenkins, played by Mackenzie Westmore. Of course, you know her name, part of the famous Westmore makeup family who have been in the biz for generations. Her father, Michael, was the longtime head of makeup for Star Trek in the Berman era. And you may best remember Mackenzie for hosting Sci-Fi Channel's Face Off, but we have seen her before on Trek, going all the way back to TNG's first season, where as a child she appeared in When the Bow Breaks. She will turn up again in Star Trek Picard in an uncredited role. And I hate to break it to you, spoiler, but this is her only appearance as Jenkins. And that brings us to another returning guest performer, the alien Okanai, played by Steve Dennis. We've mentioned Steve before, of course, and it has all been in the course of this very season of Voyager. He appeared as 2 different night aliens in the episode Night, and then he appeared very recently for us in the episode Think Tank as Phenom. He will be back yet again in a different guise altogether, and then we will catch up with Steve again after this stint on Voyager when he jumps over to Enterprise for 2 episodes there.
Welcome to the Delta Quadrant. It looks like you are trying to wipe out all life on a habitable planet. Would you like help with that?
Prologue. Neelix is helping Tom in the mess hall replicate some last-minute gifts for the anniversary of Tom and B'Elanna's first date. Flowers, wine, the whole romantic thing with dinner included. Just as Tom's ready for his date, Harry walks in for some coffee before his 4th night of bridge duty. He's been pulling the night shift as acting captain, hoping that racking up these hours will give him some solid leadership cred in Starfleet. Not going to happen.
Never going to happen for you, Terry.
No, sorry. But just as things seem to be dull and routine, Ensign Jenkins picks up a distress call. Voyager traces the signal to a nearby planet, and since there are no life signs detected, Chakotay lets Harry lead the away team. Harry, the doctor, and crewman Lang beam down to investigate, but there's no sign of life. Instead, they find a strange metal object. As Harry scans it, the object wakes up, sounding a bit scared, wanting to know why it can't see or feel its extremities. The doctor says it's injured and needs their help. Act 1. The metal object doesn't know exactly what it is. It's got a kind of computer amnesia, but the doctor insists that they need to help it. After some back and forth, Harry contacts Voyager and explains the situation. Janeway gives him the go-ahead to make the call, and Harry orders that the device be beamed up with precautions in place so they can help it remember who or what it is. The device is in engineering and at first doesn't even realize it is a piece of technology. The Doctor, also being an artificially derived being, lends a sympathetic ear. At first, the device is shocked, but then accepts that it is an intelligence encased in a metal structure a little over a meter long. It was traveling with another of its kind, and that is probably also on the planet's surface. As Janeway and Seven search for answers in astrometrics, they find traces of that other device on the planet's surface, a warhead that has already exploded. It turns out the Doctor's new friend isn't just lost, it's designed for mass destruction. Act 2. The crew debates whether they should keep trying to help the weapon's intelligence or, just blow it up. The Doctor passionately argues for helping the weapon, stating that it is sentient and has the right to live. The plan? Download the AI into a holographic matrix, kind of like giving it a new body. But during the procedure, the weapon's self-defense protocols kick in. It doesn't like the idea of being shut down, and it gets defensive. It arms itself to blow up Voyager, thwarted only when B'Elanna sends an EM pulse to shut it down. During the reboot, though, the weapon's AI hijacks the Doctor's holomatrix. Suddenly, the Warhead's in control, and it's got B'Elanna and Harry locked in sickbay. It demands Voyager take it to the original target, a military base, so it can complete its mission. And if Janeway says no, boom. Act 3. With the Warhead now fully in charge, it orders Voyager to change course. Janeway has no choice but to play along, setting course for the weapon's original target. But Neelix comes through with a possible solution, a power node he recently got from a shady merchant named Okwani might help disable the weapon. The node uses similar technology as the Warhead, so at least contacting the traitor will be a start. As the crew contemplate ways to disarm the device, Harry's feeling guilty. He figures this is all his fault, and maybe the Warhead wouldn't have gone rogue if he hadn't beamed it aboard in the first place. Harry tries appealing to the Warhead's better nature, pointing out that the Doctor, also an AI, has overcome his programming and even saved the Warhead's life. The Warhead isn't convinced. It insists it's still a weapon, just like the Doctor is still a doctor. Meanwhile, Okwani shows up and offers to beam the Warhead off Voyager for a price, ownership of the weapon itself. Naturally, Janeway declines. Not taking no for an answer, Okwani says goodbye, but tries to beam over the weapon anyway. The AI sends an antimatter surge, though, and destroys the ship and Okwani along with it. Seven then suggests that if she got close to the weapon, she could use her nanoprobes to disarm it. She wouldn't need much time, about 20 seconds, and Chakotay says they could possibly access the EMH holo emitters from outside sickbay for just long enough. They'll work on a plan. And they better hurry, because elsewhere in space, a whole fleet of similar AI warheads set their course for Voyager. Act 4. Seven and Tom have a pretty thorough plan. Disable sensors, fake a minefield, and then get Seven into sickbay under the pretense of being injured. Neelix will provide the cosmetic burns to Seven, and Tuvok will be in position to disrupt the holo emitters. While the plan is coming together, Harry makes one more attempt to reason with the AI. Its memory files are incomplete, but Harry and B'Elanna do what they can to recover them. What they find is interesting. An order from the weapon's programmers forcing it to crash land. Had they canceled the attack? The AI has a very difficult time accepting that its central command mistakenly launched 34 weapons, some 3 years after the war ended. The AI angrily argues that the orders must be a lie. It is required to complete its mission. Tom goes back to work at the helm, rocking Voyager as if it's getting hit by mines. So far, so good, until it's time for Seven to go into sickbay with her fake injury. But things go wrong again, and Seven gets hurt for real during the process of trying to access the warhead with her nanoprobes. The weapon demands everyone abandon ship, but Janeway doesn't play that. If he destroys them now, at least no one will be killed. And just when things couldn't get worse, 32 more warheads, the weapon's old buddies, show up and are headed right for Voyager. Act 5. The additional warheads detected the AI on Voyager and are there to retrieve the weapon to carry out their original program. Harry tells Janeway they can't let them proceed, that the war is over. The AI can't take hearing this truth again and lashes out at Harry. Harry does his best, though, begging the AI to check over its memory files for the codes, confirming that the weapons launch was a mistake. He manages to reason with the warhead, convincing it that its original mission was canceled years ago when the war ended. If it carries out the original program, who knows how many innocent people will die. The warhead starts to realize that maybe it's not the destroyer it thought it was. But it's too late. The other warheads are locked on their target, ignoring the cancellation code. In a final act of selflessness, the warhead decides to sacrifice itself to stop the others. It beams out, jumps to warp, and self-destructs, taking the entire fleet of warheads with it. Harry's left with a bittersweet victory. He saved the ship, but it came at a cost. Oh, and the Doctor's original personality is back. 7 of 9 will be okay. And Harry has a moment of reconciliation with the Doctor, both understanding that they did the right thing by helping a being, artificial or not, when it was in distress. Later, the night shift starts again, and Jenkins thanks Harry for saving the ship. But Harry's over it, asking Jenkins to do him a favor, no more distress calls tonight. The end.
Did you believe that a bond of trust had developed between Warhead Dr. EMH and Harry Kim, such that both Harry trusted the Warhead personality to go do the right thing after being released, and also the captain trusted that Harry had a good read on the situation?
So Harry has to trust the AI intelligence. The AI intelligence has to trust Harry. And then Janeway has to trust Harry.
Yeah. She's like, if you say so, Harry, we will give this smart bomb its intelligence back and send it on its way.
Janeway seems to do that at exactly the right times. Like a few weeks ago when Chakotay's mind was taken over by the aliens in the fight, and he's losing his mind, and he runs up under the bridge like, no, you got to let me do this. And Janeway's like, sure. Because you're Chakotay, even though you've been in sickbay for who knows how long, how many days, losing your mind, you're still Chakotay. So go to it.
Even though you seem punch drunk at the moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, well, and remember, Janeway didn't even trust Harry to have an adult physical relationship with the alien woman that he met a few weeks ago. Like, that became a whole thing.
Sure.
So, but now she's trusting him to talk down a bomb.
Yeah, it's a very exciting episode. I think that the Doctor's performance as this kind of like coldly psychotic artificial intelligence is really fun and compelling.
I think there are so many repetitive notes that I have. It's like, wow, Bob's great here, and wow, Bob's great in this scene, and wow, Bob's great in this scene. Yeah.
He rules, and I think Garrett Wang's performance is also like really strong given what he had to work with. But yeah, like that double leap at the end of like, I trust you, coldly psychotic bomb, and my captain, she sure trusts me. So we're gonna go with it.
Well, maybe Harry just had to trust himself that he made the right speech,
right?
And that's what did it. Maybe that's
yeah. There's that moment where he's like getting ready to transfer the AI from the hollow matrix back into the bomb, where he's on the radio with the captain. He's like, "No time to explain."
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know. Like, I think we should take the 35 seconds for you to summarize.
Take a little bit. Exactly. Whenever there is a discussion of food, I have to point it out. And
sure.
For as much bad taste as Tom Paris has, he actually has some pretty good taste here, and he requests that the replicator make for him Mouton Rothschild. I forget the year, but it's like, 2361 or something. Pheasant, pretty impressive. Some asparagus, flour. Yeah, very, very impressed with him.
This is another thing that I wanted to bring up, I forget, there was some famous Hollywood writer who went and saw The Big Lebowski and said the script sucked because you never saw the bowling tournament and how it turned out. And I feel a little bit like that guy watching this one because I'm like, Tom and B'Elanna, they are constantly... like it's usually Thomas screwing something up and putting their relationship in mortal danger. But I wanted to see whether or not the date went okay. Like, this is their anniversary. This is potentially a very big deal.
Do you really want to see another date with Tom and B'Elanna? Because I feel like the problem with the Tom and B'Elanna relationship, this is one of Star Trek's sins of telling, not showing. So we have been told that they are in this relationship. We have been told that they love each other very much. But what we see is them bickering over a table in the mess hall most often, and B'Elanna losing her cool, and Tom doing something stupid,
I mean, I've had friends with relationships like that where I'm like, wow, they just don't seem to ever be getting along, and yet they've been together for a long time.
Yeah, there they are.
What happens behind closed doors must be really special.
Exactly. Yeah. Glad to see Harry Kim in the big chair. We're 5 seasons into this show. Yeah. Harry Kim has been given very little, but when he is given something good, as you pointed out a moment ago, he really rises to the occasion. He's really good.
I liked the depiction of being given a little bit of responsibility and wanting to do the responsible thing. And, he is a guy who doesn't have a lot of reps in the big chair. So when a potentially emergent situation arises, Harry is like, all right, what do I do? I'm not going to just wake the captain up and start asking what to do, because that is really not the job. Like, the job is to run the ship as if I am the captain until such time as she absolutely needs to be brought in.
Yeah.
By the time he does wake somebody up, it's just Chakotay, and Chakotay throws him the keys to the away mission, which is really nice.
I think to say it's just Chakotay is really that accounts for a lot of Voyager. It really does. Not a lot of big decisions being made there. I do like when Harry tells the Doctor that he's in charge of this particular away mission. I love all the little digs that just the Doctor is relentlessly.
Oh man, it is
the shots.
Heartbreaking.
It is, but Harry stands up for himself. I mean, he's he's taking as well as giving it back. So.
Absolutely. I liked the design of the Warhead quite a bit. It did a little bit look like the Federation designed a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes,
especially when it was in space. Like the coloring of the fleet of warheads. I was like, man, it just looks like like that admiral from Star Trek Into Darkness took a slightly different approach to his getting us into wars all the time strategy.
Very much agreed. And that actually, what you're saying opens up a lot of questions. Like, I think it's cool that we don't know anything about the species that created it, nor the people that they were at war with. Like, that is a good storytelling decision. At the same time, I was very curious, though. Like, are they like us? Are they not? Like, what are the parallels that we can draw there?
Right. Like, I mean, it seems maybe we do too much to give the Federation the benefit of the doubt as Star Trek fans, but, I don't think the Federation would have WMDs necessarily.
Well,
unless that one admiral from Star Trek Into Darkness or any other admiral I can think of off the top of my head.
All of them,
in charge.
Yeah. And I guess, mass destruction is just sort of really a matter of degrees. I think one photon torpedo is pretty massively destructive, but...
I guess if it depends on what you're shooting it at and whether that thing has... shields or not.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's a pretense here that I really like, and I didn't get into it in the recap about, how the Doctor talks to the AI. But there's a thing that I really like when it's done well in science fiction, where you have one character that just doesn't speak a language that you can understand, and you as the viewer are not meant to understand it. So you're relying on the one character who does to be able to kind of translate for you without just turning to the camera and saying, he just said this. No, you just get it from the reactions. Done very well here. See also Han Solo and Chewbacca. Like that. Sure. That's the way that works, Nicely done in this episode, I thought.
Yeah, it's like Dr. Han Solo and psychotic weapon Chewbacca.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the fan fiction I want to see. Yeah.
It was really cool sound design. I thought the way it speaks is like it doesn't sound like the beeps and boops of a Star Wars droid. It sounds like its own distinct thing, and I like the decision not to give it subtitles or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like they could have gone in the direction of having the Doctor like open his mouth and have computery noises fly out of it back at the. The bomb, and that would have been maybe a little bit too silly.
I think so. Now, I do have a question, and I'll come back to this in the next segment as well, but I guess I'm having trouble figuring out where in the episode we decided that the bomb, the AI, is sentient. Because it's one thing to go like, oh, okay, we're having a conversation, it is intelligent, it can respond. But then the Doctor just blurts this out like, oh, it's sentient. And nobody questions that at all. I get it that we've been through years of trying to determine, is Data a being? Does he have rights? Is he sentient? Blah, blah, blah. But that's the sort of like, to coin a phrase, a bomb that is dropped in the middle of this episode.
It sure is. Yeah, I think Gray's Jen tried really hard to grapple with that idea of like, when do you know if something is intelligent enough to call it sentient.
Yeah.
In a way where I don't remember them ever discussing that in Deep Space Nine, and it's only a tiny bit in like season 1 of Voyager when they're deciding whether or not the Doctor gets to have like rights.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I think that like since we watched this episode for my show, most of these like AI tools have become available, and like it was really tripping me out to think that like when I was growing up, what we imagined AI was going to be was a character that you could talk to and could like administer medical help to you, and what it turned out to be was like a way to cheat on your English essay while burning a rainforest to the ground.
Right. Right. That's so aptly put. That kind of sums up our experience with AI. Yeah.
So I guess I'll like defer to the EMH on whether a synthetic intelligence rises to the level of sentience.
I mean, I think if we really parsed it, we kind of come back to this thing in Mission Log, which is to say, well, you have to start from a position of saying, we will have the respect for this life. We'll start from that. And it really is more about our reaction, not about some inherent property in that thing, in that being, But we just kind of gloss over a lot of that in this episode. Now,
I think that's also like sort of a Voyager era thing where Voyager feels a little bit like a return to form for Star Trek. It feels like more TNG-ish kind of storylines and dilemmas and things. And because of that, like so much ground has already been covered by TNG that they're like, we're not going to go over whether an AI is intelligent or not.
Yeah. Right.
We just want to tell the story about this bomb taking over the ship.
Yeah. Let's go with us. Yeah. I like that there's a separation in this story with Harry given a couple of opportunities to try to talk to the AI and form this kind of relationship. And see that
he kind of goes back to it over and over again with these kind of pitching it on like, what about like finding your intrinsic morality that you must have because you are sentient?
Right. So I like that we give that stuff to Harry, because what you really have to have is like the AI and Janeway are perfectly suited to go against each other because they will both blow themselves up given the opportunity. You know,
right.
Janeway, like the AI says, well, I'm going to blow up the ship. And Janeway's like, not before I do. Because, you know.
Nobody wants to blow up the ship more than Janeway.
Right. So,
she will play that game of chicken all day long with this AI.
Absolutely. So that's kind of nice stuff. I did wonder a little bit about the direction that Jonathan Kretschmer must have given to our actor who plays Okwanai. Such a weird delivery. Like, he comes out
with... so big. He's so silly.
Yeah.
Like, he has, like... I mean, it's almost like an early TNG Ferengi level silliness.
Yes.
And I think that... I mean, I think it really stands out just because, like... the themes in this episode are so grim.
Yeah.
And what we're contemplating potentially happening here is like either our ship and all of our friends on the ship are killed, or millions of totally innocent people on some planet we don't even know about are killed.
Right.
So
right.
This kind of clownish, semi-dishonest merchant character popping up for 2 quick scenes is,
yeah, just needed to blow that guest star budget this week. Like, no, we got to get somebody in here. And then I would have loved to have seen, like, you know, he comes in, he plays it one way, the director like, no, bigger, more. You know?
Do you see all this blue makeup we put you in? Like rise to the blue makeup occasion, man.
All right, exactly. Speaking of makeup, Neelix, chief of theatrical makeup, really like that. Although I wondered, like, this is Star Trek, and it is the 24th century, and you don't just do, like, grease paint. I don't think. Whenever they do something, it's not prosthetic makeup in universe. It's like, no,
it's like
we're altering. Yeah, like we're altering your DNA, or we're doing this other weird extreme thing. And I wondered, like, Seven volunteered for that, and Neelix just like, yeah, I'm a makeup artist. Now I'm going to burn your skin. Like, that.
They had
Mackenzie
Westmore in the episode with speaking lines. She should have gotten to do this.
Absolutely, she should have been able to do that. That would have been great.
That would have been such a fun wink to camera. Like,
yes.
Give a Westmore the stunt makeup job in the episode.
Yes, that would have been so cool. Yeah. Again, I just have another note here. Angry, weaponized AI Bob Picardo is wonderful. I want more and more and more of that. Although
every time he played like a villain version of the Doctor, he did such a great job. He chews the scenery.
He does.
He is so good at accessing that scary, uncompromising energy that just makes you feel like he is capable of anything.
He is. Now, I hate to be this pedantic. All right. But I'm going to do it anyway because I secretly love it. Tom announces at the end of Act 4 that the weapons, like all these 32 missiles show up and they're off the port bow. I'm sorry, they are neither. They are neither port side nor are they on the bow. So I don't know if that was a CG team just like not knowing what those terms mean, or you know.
When they do the HD remasters, they're going to flip that shot.
Then okay, good. Just for me, please. That's all I ask.
They're going to fix that.
Finally, you know, we've talked so much about Garrett. I mean, Garrett is a really strong actor. That much is a given. Harry Kim takes a lot of criticism. Harry Kim isn't always given the good stuff to do. I gotta say, like, not only does he get to be captain here a couple of times, did you think the same thing that I did? He gets a Kirk speech. I mean, he talked down a computer. I can't remember the last time we've seen that, but it's talk about a return to form. That just felt like pure Star Trek to me.
Yeah, I've always thought that Harry Kim seemed like an ensign that doesn't believe in a no-win scenario, and like his speech at the end is great, really well delivered. I think that, like, I was kind of making fun of it earlier, like does he trust the bot, and does Janeway trust him? But like, I think if that speech wasn't what it was, the end would be like so much sillier. Like. His speech does seem like it genuinely persuades the AI bot. I think Robert Picardo's performance, like reacting to it wordlessly, is also really good, because you do feel like, okay, this was in fact something that changed inside the AI's calculation of what to do. And it's another grim outcome. Like this AI is like perfectly happy to destroy itself, but only in the furtherance of its mission. So destroying itself in kind of the opposite of what it originally conceived of as being its mission is a big change. And I do think that they do a really good job in the performances, like conveying that actually happened, you know?
All it takes is the right words. Yeah.
It would have saved everyone a lot of trouble if the Warhead had experienced a syntax error in line 260 of its program.
Then I have a conceptual question that I want to pose here, and it's about the weapon. All right. By the way, look, I've said this so many times on Mission Log, but there are episodes that we come across where I feel like we could pick any one thread, any one idea, and do an hour on that.
Sure.
And we get emails and comments from people saying, like, oh, I can't believe you talked about this episode and didn't talk about this one thing. Like, well, yeah. like
my co-host on my show, Adam Pranica, famously has "Why didn't you?" muted on Twitter.
Okay, maybe I should do the same thing. Yeah, because I mean, seriously, there are so many interesting ideas here. There's one that I just thought was so strange, and I might be overthinking it, but we meet the Warhead, we meet the AI here, and the first thing that the Doctor tells us is that the AI's reaction is it can't see. And it doesn't know where its arms or legs are. It doesn't know why it can't feel its arms or legs. And I thought, what kind of twisted programmer made the AI in a bomb think that it has eyes or arms or legs to begin with? Like, that, if I interact with ChatGPT, like ChatGPT isn't telling me about its eyes or arms or legs. Like ChatGPT is at least aware of itself being a computer, right? To the extent that it can be aware. I mean, it's not aware.
It represents awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
A plausible enough way that it, blah, blah, blah.
But I thought that was such a bizarre thing. Like, would it think like, oh, okay, I'm a guy in a thing in space. So,
I do feel like that has, I'm sort of blanking on it, but it feels like a familiar Star Trek-y premise that, like, we put the mind of something else into something. Yeah. And I sort of wonder if that was, like, in the script originally and then got lost in a revision or something. Because they do talk about it being bio-neural gel that's running the intelligence of this bomb.
Right.
And so, therefore, maybe, like, some of that intelligence was derived from, like, tissue that was harvested from somebody or something like that. It stuck out to me as well, like, especially because they never come back to it. Like, like when the intelligence shows up in the Doctor, he's initially just mad at them for trying to turn him off.
Yeah. But
then he looks at the thing he came out of, and he's like, oh, that's why I couldn't feel my arms. You're like, I don't have any.
Right. Well, yeah, you see, I kind of wondered that similar thing that you did, which is, did they just sort of upload the neural patterns of an existing being, like whatever species this is that created it, and they pick a guy out of their army and say, you know what, you're going to be bomb number 34, and we're going to just sort of don't ask questions, don't worry about it. We're just going to hook you up to this machine, and we're going to pull your consciousness as a duplicate into this thing in order to make decisions as a weapon. Like, that is a whole other twisted idea that we don't get to thoroughly explore, but just the fact that it thought that it had eyes was strange.
Well, that amnesia seems to slip away also. Like, at a certain point, the bomb knows exactly what it is and what its mission is, and it I guess what it has forgotten has shrunk to the small period of time in which the kill order came through, and it wedged itself in that rock on that planet, right?
Right.
Weird that it had a built-in ability to broadcast a distress signal. as a bomb.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
I don't know why they added that when they were specking out all the features of their smart weapon.
Right.
Can ask for help if needed. But yeah, it seems to like not know what it is until it knows exactly what it is, and will kill anyone that tries to compromise what it is.
Well, okay, and that's what I think is the real core here that is so interesting to me watching this, because when I saw this one come up in the queue for a mission log, I thought, oh, okay, it's the AI weapon, and AI is very interesting because everybody is talking about AI now. But my interests in what plays out here was different stuff. And you're talking about it now, which is kind of the crisis of identity that the intelligence goes through by being in the body of the Doctor. The idea is just that I am the extent of my programming. My programming tells me that I am this. Therefore, I can never be anything beyond that. The fact that it has this nudge, several nudges actually from Harry, to be able to grow beyond that programming, and maybe there's a little dabbling from the Doctor. Like the Doctor is offline, but yeah, maybe there's a little mix-up in the programming there. I thought that was just sort of this very human arc for this character, the AI character, to have. You know, it needs these other inputs of compassion. It needs these other inputs of examining information from different perspectives. It gets to do all of that. And, you know, tribute to the writers here, they create a very satisfying arc for a computer program that we don't actually see, other than just it is something encased in a weapon and a missile, and then embodied by the Doctor. That just kind of, I don't know, it's one of those very special things that I think that only a show like Star Trek can do.
It has so many interesting implications as a thought experiment for, like, us as, you know, I mean, we are to a certain extent programmed by culture and DNA, and like, do we have free will? And like, I think a lot of very smart people would argue that we do not. And, like, I hope that, you know, like, we can overcome some of our darker natures, like this bomb does eventually. And that's like part of the optimism of Star Trek, I feel, in a way, that you can get one really solid Kirk speech flung at you by Harry Kim and change your mind about something.
And you kind of hope that that's true. Like, the AI here, as are all alien characters in Star Trek, is very much us. You know, we are limited to the information that we have. We are limited to the experiences that we have. And we are so ready to dig in our heels in the face of contrary information. You know, we start out with a set of beliefs. We carry those beliefs because we are convinced of the truth of those propositions, and then it is damn near impossible for you to just believe something else is true. And in this case, the weapon, from its birth, you know, quote-unquote birth, this is your job, this is what you do, you go here, you destroy the enemy is bad, they're evil, this is it.
Don't ask questions about your arms or legs. Don't ask questions about whether you can see.
Right. Don't bother with any of that. But it kind of reveals, you know, in this interesting parallel to the way the human brain works and the way that, well, human-created AI works, which I think is also very interesting, because human-created AI is only as good as the information that it gets when it is programmed. And even beyond that, even when we try to push our human-created AI to do more, to synthesize more, to come up with novel ideas, well, it is only as good as the kind of neural mapping and I guess dot connecting that we can give it. You know, we can't actually think beyond the things that we are already feeding those AI models.
Unless we get a really solid Kirk speech that inspires us to do better.
The power of an inspiring speech. I love that so much.
Yeah. One thing that I read that they cut out from the script, they didn't actually shoot this, was they tried to get this bomb to draw some pictures of people.
Oh, yeah.
And it kept getting the number of fingers wrong.
6 fingers. See, that's how you know. That's exactly how you know.
Come on, man.
You can tell this episode was written over 20 years ago. Now the Warhead would be software as a service. Exploding requires an active subscription.
All right, Ben, we have successfully disarmed this episode, I believe. I think. I don't know. Do you find me disarming?
I sure do. You are always, snipping the red wire just the right, with just 2 seconds to spare.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. Well, we have arrived at the end of Mission Log, and as we do every episode, we put it to the final test. We ask ourselves if the episode holds up, and we ask each other what we learned. Is there a moral or meaning or message to take away? Now, Ben, you being new in the co-host chair, the question about the episode holding up, that is purposely vague. There might be things that took you out of it. There might be things that you think elevate a weak premise or a weak production value. So you get to tell us in your assessment based on your own criteria, does Warhead hold up?
I think so. I think I was mentioning earlier. I think the thing that's being marketed to us as AI has been a lot more present in the foreground of life on Earth since I last watched this episode. So I think of it differently and more scornfully now than I did when I watched this episode last. I think, if memory serves. And yet, I think that the character of the AI in this episode is really interesting. It's got a little bit of that, Japanese soldiers marooned on some little island in the Pacific that didn't receive word that the war was over. Energy to it, but it also has so much of the energy of the geopolitics of '99, as you mentioned, the fall of the Soviet Union and the smart bombs in Desert Storm and stuff. And I think that that bouillabaisse of themes could fall apart really easily. And I think that maybe the script is a little bit weaker than your average Voyager script, but the performances are so superlative on this one for me that it really arises above the material in a certain way and becomes an episode that I think really does hold up.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I can't disagree with you there. I mean, I think it holds up in a lot of ways. We mentioned how strong Bob Picardo's performance is. Just throughout, he's so good because, of course, that's just who he is as an actor.
That's why you hire a Robert Picardo for your television program.
Exactly. And then you have all these very high-concept sci-fi ideas. The idea of the weapon is, just intelligent enough to get out of the control of its builders, and, a computer program that maybe possibly can learn to go beyond its original design. And, you have these other cool elements. You got Harry back on the bridge, for one thing. I appreciate that. You have the Doctor wrestling with the ethical implications of his own decision, to help save this bomb, and I think the pacing is nice. I think that this one moves along pretty well to cram a lot of those heavy ideas into that tight 45 minutes. But I think at the end, what really gets me excited about this episode is something that I mentioned before, is that they wrote the AI as a character. And it's so interesting because we never give that character a body or a face other than this prop, this Warhead prop, and then what is being filtered through a face we already know, which is the EMH Doctor. But they gave this character a really complete arc of growth. And I thought that was cool. He has personality. He gets sympathy out of us, at a few moments. And that's all before even we get to the psychological meat on the bone, which is what brings me to the morals, meanings, messages.
It's an arc of growth that ends with him making a promise to Harry Kim
Yeah.
Right? So you could say it's an Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, there we go. That's it. That's it. That was the missing element. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, I had to bring it up.
You did, yeah, good.
It was right there.
Good call.
People would have been writing you, why didn't you bring up...
Why didn't you say
that
Ark
extremely strange long walk to a medium bad pun?
Thank goodness you went way out of the way for that. So I said it earlier that there are so many ways to address this. Like, somebody far smarter than I could sit down and write a whole paper about the implications of AI, or, dangers of technology getting away from us, or the lunacy of building these bigger and more deadly weapons that have the ability to escape our control. And it is, as you said, watching this now as we record this podcast in late 2024, discussions around AI are very different from the discussions we even had 2 years ago, much less back in 1999 when this episode came out, and it was all just fantasy. But what I really appreciate over all of that is the way that this story shines this bright spotlight on a very human trait of believing something so powerfully that we will actively work to suppress any and all evidence to the contrary. That is, humans do that. I dare not point out the many examples that immediately spring to the top of my head, but it happens all the time, over and over and over again. And that's kind of what you hope for in the fantasy of our entertainment like this, is, like you said, the well-placed Kirk speech, the one idea that is convincing enough to break through and say, no, wait a minute. You can actually rethink your perspective here. And that might actually be to the greater good if you do so. This episode is a little bit of the old scorpion and the frog parable, but in this one, the scorpion actually stops being a scorpion for a moment. So
that never happens on Voyager.
I know, yeah. But I love this idea, this conceit of, identity being at the core of the episode. The weapon insists I am what I am because he/it was made that way, but then it just takes that nudge to become something different. And that is this very hopeful idea that I think permeates the best of Star Trek. Any morals, meanings, messages you want to share with us at the end here?
Oh, no, I think you summed it up really well, John. Fun episode. In a world where robot dogs are being given M16s and being told to go sick, we need more TV like this, not less. Agreed.
Mission Log is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so at patreon.com/missionlog for early access to shows and the Mission Log Discord.
And hey, do that, because your shows don't get to happen without your support, especially this day and age.
There you go.
Ads are not enough. If you like this, if you look forward to it every week, it's really important to support it.
Exactly, right back at you. There are a lot of podcasts that will appreciate your love and support. So we do thank you for that. Our website, missionlogpodcast.com, and for more Star Trek news and discussion, visit trekmovie.com.
On the next Mission Log, Equinox.
Some of the music for Mission Log provided by Warp 11, online at warp11.com. Special thanks to consulting producers, Matt Esposito, Homer Frizzell, Rand Hurl, Tom Kozak, Julie Miller, Mike Richards, Mike Shadwell, Paul Shadwell, and David Takechi. Yes, Harry managed to put the Warhead through its paces and outthink it, but did he get it to run its own version of doom on the Doctor's forehead? End transmission.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.